tuning into Radicards TV on Radicards.com. I'm your host, Patrick Greeno, and this is my buddy, Dan G.
How's it going, Pat?
Good, how are you?
Doing very well.
So this is the last episode before the 2019 National Convention.
Woo!
That will be published. Now, before we get into what we're going to talk about today, I just want to let you guys know that in previous Nationals, I would hustle at night and produce blog content every night, or at least I'd try. This year I'm not doing that because the last couple of years doing that, it burned me out, man.
Right.
Like I'm putting in 6 to 8 hours a day in the evenings, and I'm missing out on being social with people.
Yeah.
And I need to have that social because this is a good
networking
opportunity. And also I just want to say hi to people I've met over the years. So I'm not going to be producing content on a daily basis at the National this year. What I'll be doing is producing the actual like raw files of video. And then I will, when I come back from the National, I'll curate everything and create one master video covering my experience at the National all the days. And then there will be obviously the written content below that on the actual website, radicards.com. So if you're going to been just watching this on YouTube, but you want to see like images and you want to actually read the story, click through. Usually on all the YouTube videos in the description link, there's the link back to the actual article on radicards.com. So that's going to be how I'm going to interact with content production at this National. I think it's going to be better for me to be able to talk with people and get to know people outside of the convention after the convention concludes on a daily basis. And I'm a kind of a social being anyway, so it's going to be healthier for me to do that. And also I'll be getting to bed at a better hour.
Yeah, no. I mean, there won't be any videos with me sleeping in the background and snoring.
Right? So I think this will just be better. And plus, too, last December, my MacBook Pro crashed. And so I upgraded to a Mac Mini desktop machine and with a bigger monitor and everything. So I don't even have presently a laptop. Even if I wanted to produce content like this, it wouldn't happen. So I'm actually glad that I'm going without a machine, a device in that way to produce, because I look forward to having more relaxing evenings.
Right.
You know, and I can remember the stuff on a daily basis, and so when I do curate and create the final product, I'm going to remember a lot of the highlights on a daily. I know that in the past I've produced articles daily, and I talk about the things in that day, and I go really into depth, but I have a pretty good memory in that way, so I think I'm going to be fine producing and recreating those memories when I get back. So just look out for that sometime in the second week of August. That's my hope, that I can publish that at that time. But whatever the case, it'll go out in August, so sometime in August. So I want to thank you all for tuning in and being okay with this, because this is going to be a lot easier for me on my health, and it's just a less time constraint for me.
So I did something similar the last National. I didn't write anything while we were there, but I did tweet regularly. Yeah. So, that was...
Right, and that's
very
great.
Helpful.
So I'll probably be doing more Instagram and Twitter this year in real time, so that just because people can see that I'm still active while I'm away, I'm just not producing large, time-consuming content pieces. So I'll be still producing in social media. So if you're on Twitter, Instagram, definitely follow my account. My account, Radicards, is my handle for both of those. So definitely look out for that. And that kind of concludes sort of my introduction to what we're going to be talking about. But we're also going to be talking more about the National after we discuss our two pieces today. Yeah. So let's get hyped on what's kind of come out recently, obviously. Yeah. And then we'll talk about something that came out in 2011 that I happen to love and still love to this day, that I still cherish this particular set. So Dan, tell us what you brought today.
So I brought a copy of a 2019 Mark McGwire stained glass mini out of Allen and Ginter, and this just happens to be the version where he's in his A's jersey.
Right.
So he has both an A's jersey variation and a Cardinals jersey variation.
Sure.
So I grabbed the first one that popped up for the A's. I've been watching the Cardinals ones, and trying to acquire one, but not as vigorously as I was trying for the A's. So rumor has it they're numbered to 25. There's no actual serial numbering on them. So
the print run is 25.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not convinced. I mean, I've seen maybe 3 copies of this version pop up, maybe 3 or 4 of the Cardinals. I mean, it's still pretty early. I think Alan Ginter's only been out about 3 weeks. But from what I understand, they're only available out of the rip cards.
Right.
And there's 1 guaranteed stained glass out of the rip card toppers that come out of the case. There are 3 things that you can get out of those.
Right.
I just think they're just really cool cards. It's something different that Allen and Ginter's done this year. To my recollection, I know that there are stained glass cards that exist, like Topps Gallery has had some, but I don't think anybody's actually done a mini version. And I've said it several times on Radicards, and that is I love minis.
Right.
So I don't know why, but I think they're great.
It's funny
so
you bring that up because you say you love minis.
Yeah.
And I love them too. There was an episode sometime back where you brought a panel, a jumbo panel, and you were like, you were dogging on it. Like, I mean, it was like, you were like, what were they thinking when they created this? So it's funny that we look at cards that are atypically sized.
Yeah.
And we have a preference toward which size we like better. Now, minis, okay, to their credit, they're easier to store.
That's one of the big keys,
right?
Yeah.
You can store them really just like you would store any other card, because you can put them in the sized contoured penny sleeve and put the penny sleeve in top loader like you would any other card.
Right.
With the jumbo, you're like, well, do I put it in a box?
What do I do with this thing?
How do I store this thing? And so I understand that piece. Yeah. I do. And I really like that what Ginter does on a year-to-year basis.
That's fun.
I don't chase enough of it. And so but I love what they do.
Right.
I've always liked the variations and the different things that they play with, and I think these glass pane examples this year are really cool. Thomas is in the set too.
Yeah, I think he might have 2 variations as well.
I think so too. I can't confirm, but I've seen at least one, and maybe I've seen them both, but I kind of just keep scrolling.
Right.
So I may have seen the different variations already, but I really like these a lot.
So I try to chase down a lot of the modern McGwire stuff just because it's McGwire, right? But there are certain products that I will be more aggressive with, and Allen and Ginter is usually one of those. I mean, I really enjoy what they do. I mean, last year I was blown away with the minis that were in the glow in the dark. So I have the McGwire and that. I haven't seen more than a handful of them surface in a year, so who knows what they're numbered to as well, the serial or their print run. But
you ever take them out at night and look at them?
Well, I every now and then I'll take it and shine it in the bathroom, and then go into the closet and look at it and see, and take one of the kids with me. So, but this is just another example of what they've done that I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And so that's what I brought today.
It's good, man. Back in I think 2009, I had just moved to LA. I'd been there a couple months. I mean, it's 5 or 6 months, whatever. And I bought the Score, the franchise glow in the dark from the '90s, and it was I hadn't that was my first copy, the Thomas. And I remember getting the mail and then holding it under the light and then taking it into my bathroom, closing the door, and turning out the light. I could see it glow with the It's so cool.
It's like the baseball stitching.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so rad. I was like, man, this is like underutilized technology.
Yeah. I don't think people realize that there are the glow in the dark versions of those.
Well, it's databased. Like it's available. Like the knowledge of those exists.
But I think people in general just don't know. It's only those people that had experience with it, or those people that are seeking out that parallel.
Has like that off light, super faint green.
Right, but
that you don't
sifting
notice.
Through those cards, you wouldn't notice unless you knew what to look for.
Guys like me look at those things.
No, but because it's there though. I'm the same way. Is this the glow in the dark version, or is this the regular version? And I don't think there's any difference in premium between the two, right? The base and the glow
in the dark is a multiplier.
Is there a multiplier?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you
can't be much though.
I mean, I have to look it up again.
Yeah.
But it's not in parallel. It's not the value is not parallel. It's more.
Right.
Because it's another step in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you add another step in a process, you add an additional layer of cost.
Right.
That's just part of economics, right? So, take a bag for example, and then I'll print something on it. It's going to be more than just a bag without the print. So the thing with the the glow in the darks is it's like gold medallions, kind of like that. It's like you've got the insert of, say, hitting machines, and you've got the gold medallion parallel, and that's going to have a multiplier of some capacity because it's yet another. And they obviously do that with a significantly shorter print run,
right?
With the actual layered parallel. I really respect that Fleer did that in the 90s. They had parallels of inserts.
Right.
I mean, that's like awesome.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been blown out of proportion now. This is a perfect example, right? You've got parallels of this particular card, but I really dig the glow in the dark stuff a lot, and I think I think maybe I can count on a number of times on my one hand how many times that I know that technology has been utilized in cards.
Right.
Twice, three. I mean,
I
can't think of more than two.
Yeah, I can only think of the score and
the Allen Ginter.
Year.
I don't know if it's been done more than one time, but whatever the case is, that kind of stuff is so subtle. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Because it's so subtle.
Right.
You have to really know what you're looking at.
Right.
I've picked up so many things in bargain bins that have been super rare, elusive unicorn variations because people just don't know.
Right.
And I think it was 2015 I picked up that 92 Topps Nolan Ryan with the silver foil instead of gold foil for the gold parallel. It was silver, not gold.
What? I'm
92 Topps.
92
Nolan
Topps.
Ryan.
Okay.
They had 92 Topps gold.
Right.
Well, I picked up the Nolan Ryan. It was Topps gold, but the gold foil was actually silver,
and
not gold.
Okay.
So those are crazy rare.
Really?
Yeah. So I found that in a dollar bin.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
So there's things like that, that are just, they're under the radar. And
Yeah.
if you don't know what you're looking at, you're just going to toss them in the bin.
Right.
So anyway, thanks for bringing that by.
Sure.
So this is in 2011, and Topps hasn't reproduced this yet. Maybe they will. 2011 Topps update. Obviously, it's got the trout. This is the Craig Kimbrel. This is the Hope Diamond. And again, in the stack of stuff I've acquired, so it hasn't been prepped, no sleeve yet, no archive. It's not even in a checklist yet. So we're talking about it very in a raw case. I just grabbed something out of the stack that needs to be processed. Craig Kimbrel 2011 Topps update rookie year card. This would be the Hope Diamond number to 60. Beautiful stuff. I've always liked Hope Diamond stuff from 2011, and I was late to the game on getting the Thomases by several months.
Right.
So I started to pursue them, almost into 2012, and at that point, the amount of instances that I would witness that allowed the two different Thomas cards, Hope Diamond variations, to be available became less and less. And at that point, I was actually hoping I'd still get, no pun intended, both of them. And I eventually did acquire both, but
right.
as it stands currently in the current market, I never see them. I saw one Thomas last year, and I just forwarded to a group saying, it's a good deal, it's available if anybody needs it, because I just never see them anymore.
Right.
And so when I saw this Craig Kimbrel, this is the only one I've seen so far, and I don't actively search for this card now, but I do keep a search for Kimbrel stuff. And so since I've been watching Kimbrel stuff, this is the only one I've seen.
Yeah.
And they're just rare.
And it's such an interesting point you bring up because with this card, the McGwire, right? It's kind of a double-edged sword. Grab it the second you see it and pay the premium,
right,
or hope and wait.
And you might pay even more of a premium later because it's so rare.
Right.
And people are going to want to pay more because they waited.
Correct.
So there's a window when products are released. There's a small one. It's about, I'd say, 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 5 if you're lucky.
When that stuff becomes available.
It all just surfaces. Yeah. And if you have funds to manage it, grab up stuff while you can, because once that window closes, it's slim,
so hard to find.
Slim chance. It's going to be a while yet before you see another one. And I don't really pursue modern much anymore. I stopped in early 2018. It's because there's just so much stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, I like Prism a lot, and I used to do Prism. And Thomas is in Prism this year, and they're awesome cards, but I just decided not to pursue. There's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Crazy.
I'm just like, it's great, but man, I go broke just with one line.
Right.
It didn't used to be that way.
Right.
Donruss used to have 5 cards. Now that Donruss is there's in the teens, and then you got all the optic stuff in the teens. And I'm like, I can't. So I'm like, I'm not gonna not gonna do that to myself. So I love modern stuff a lot. I like to look at it.
Yeah.
You know, I might save it to our Pinterest board, my Pinterest board, and then if I don't buy it, it's just something to reference back again, and I'm good with that, and that's fine with me. But you know, it also allows me to stay focused on the stuff I'm still trying to acquire in his career year. And because I'm so far into collecting Thomas stuff, I'm over 7,100 unique now, which is pretty solid.
That's a big number.
Pretty big number.
That's a big number.
Yeah. And so the stuff I'm still after is so rare, I almost never see it.
Right.
You know, I've got an article going that won't go out until I get this card in the mail. But this one card, once it gets scanned in and added to my archive, it'll go in this article about this card I've been looking for pretty ardently for the last, I'd say, 10 years. And I'm finally going to be able to get a copy of this thing. So it's a huge elusive card from 1999. We'll talk about that probably later. But you'll hear about it once, if you read my content, you'll hear about it on Radicards.com because I'll publish an article about it somewhere down the line. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just want to talk about the Craig Kimbrel because it's a perfect example of a great card from a great set.
Yeah,
you know,
beautiful.
Hope Diamond's so cool. Rookie year card for Craig Kimbrel. That 2011 was when he came on the scene and made his MLB debut. And so, you know, I always look at like how you define a player's rookie. Well, it depends on what you're looking for. You're looking for prospect year stuff,
Turn it around.
Or you're looking for rookie card era stuff like year that they entered their professional debut. Because you know, I started to identify rookie cards differently than I would rookie year cards. You know, like Mark Trumbo has a rookie card in 2004, Donruss Elite and Bowman Chrome, you know, and some SP stuff, but his rookie year was 2011. So I say like his rookie year cards are 2011, but his rookie cards are 2004. So it's like, what are you looking for specifically? Like rookie card, like the like standard run-of-the-mill definition of the first appearance of their, you know, on a licensed cardboard, or is it the year that they entered and made their MLB debut? Because that's still a rookie card, but I call that a rookie year card. So this is one of those instances where you don't see the RC logo on this because it's from the Update series, and he was found in Topps Chrome. What is it? He's got another Topps card this year that has the RC logo. Okay. This just isn't that one. The Update series comes out later in the year. But kind of cool. I like this card a lot. Obviously, the design's great, and this will make it good. It'll scan well once I finally get around to scanning and archiving everything that I've got. I always bring this up this year. I don't know why. I don't know why they do this, but I talk about all the stuff that I've acquired, then I just grab a card from the stack.
Right.
I've been doing that a lot, so bear with me. But yeah, this is cool. I like these a lot. And so this will go in the archive at some point, and so you'll be able to see it on the museum somewhere down the line.
Cool.
So I wanted to conclude with that, with the card chat stuff, but I wanted to talk about, or the hobby talk stuff rather. I want to talk about the National a little bit and sort of, you know, Dan, I've been calling you and asking you, like, what should I spend my budget on? You know, usually I go and I'm doing like a lot of quantity over quality, and I'm getting good stuff.
You grind pretty hard in those bins.
But I grind like serious, and so I'm thinking, well, maybe this year do I take a different, like, do I frame my position in a different way? You know, do I look at showcase stuff more, or am I more picky about stuff I pull out of the bargain bins, or you know, every year I try to get one nice vintage card.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be... Now, nice doesn't have to mean expensive, okay?
Yeah.
It just means I like looking at it. So I got a Hoyt Wilhelm 67 Topps in 2017, and it was like $6. But PSA 7. But it's beautiful.
Right.
Amazing centering, gorgeous card. Gorgeous. That was the one nice vintage card I bought that year. So now I'm thinking... Well, if I get a card like that this year, what would it be? I don't know.
You know, I think so. It's such an interesting discussion because I see a lot of people like on Twitter, like, you know, talking about like, I'm going, not sure what to expect, what to do. Yeah. You know, and I think you and I have spent a lot of time kind of stressing out about what to do, and I think the last National I felt was easier for me because I went in with just some goals on certain cards, but then was very fluid as far as changing what I needed to do when I was there. I went with some missions, but then I didn't let that distract me from some of the other stuff that was happening at the show. And if I saw a $10 box, right, just peek to see what's in there, because you never know. I think I told you in 2017 I found a really cool 68 bench rookie.
Oh yeah,
that had a crease, right?
$10.
Somebody wanted $10 for it.
Can't pass that up.
I was like, man, I can't pass that up.
I know.
It's a cool looking card. I have a Johnny Bench rookie, not in the best condition, but for $10 you can't pass it up.
So that's the kind of thing that I like. I think my overall goal is just to have a good time.
Yeah.
And everything else that kind of falls into play is just a benefit of that. It's a tertiary side effect of having a good time.
Right.
And I think that, I was thinking, do I go with the intent of acquiring, or do I go just to enjoy being at the show?
I think you have to do both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Because this is the 1 week you wait for all year.
Right.
And so you have to make the most of that. Now, do I go with the intent of acquiring things I can easily get on eBay? Or do I go with the intent of looking for things that I can't easily get on eBay?
I think you have to go with the mindset of both.
So this is deep thoughts.
To be
with
honest,
Patrick Greeno.
to be honest, there's very little that's going to be there that you can't acquire on eBay.
Yes.
Pretty much you can find anything.
Although there were things in bargain bins that you just never see.
Right, and that's why I think you should go with that mentality of both, because you're gonna have to grind a little bit,
right.
And you're gonna have to find those things because you want to find those bargains.
Yeah.
Right. At the same time, I think the point of being selective about what you're buying is super important.
Mm.
You and I have gotten trapped into buying the same stupid things over and over and over again, right? Because we find them, but at the same time...
Give me an example.
Let's say 87 Topps bonds.
That's a perfect example. I was just thinking that same example. I have hundreds of them.
It's really hard sometimes to pass those things up,
It is.
Well,
the price points are so low.
Some of the things I pick up on a regular basis, even though they're easy to find, or I'm sorry, even though they're easy to find, they're cheap, but I'm like, why do I keep buying these?
Because they're cheap.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many of the Bill Ripken obscenities I have. Right?
So that's
can't pass it up for $5.
That's a card I do pass on.
Come home with 5 of them every show. So
I look for the scribble variations.
So yeah, those are a little bit harder to find, but for some reason, I laugh and I throw it in the stack, and over and over and over again. I keep buying them.
I'm a sucker for some of the early '80s rookies, and so I'm always like, oh, Gwynn, yeah, ooh, Ripken.
Yeah, well,
I always go in that the classics route, but I think to myself, what percentage of my budget goes to that? I want to start creating a matrix of start analyzing at what point does my budget become a significant outflow into that category of product.
Right.
And it's do I bring all that money to buy 87 Topps bonds? No, I don't. No. I don't go to the show to buy that stuff, but I end up coming home with a lot of that stuff. And so I'm saying to myself, what percentage of my budget should be allocated to the 80s classics, or what percentage, and then what percentage should not go? Yeah. So I should think to myself, what I should tally is, all right, if I can remember, I'm not going to tally per purchase. It's going to eat up too much time. But in the evening, if I can remember how much I spent on, say, whatever I bought in that decade over the course of the 5 days, I can say, okay, so I brought X amount of dollars and I spent Y amount on the 80s stuff. Right. How much was left over with X minus Y, and what did I spend that amount of money on? And if it's a statistical significant majority of my funds, I might have to think about that again, because I think what am I really going to the National for exactly? It appears that I'm going for 80s stuff.
Right.
But I can get that online all day long, every day of the week, 24/7,
right.
Forever.
At the garage sales and
all day long, forever. They're not rare. This stuff's not rare. But I think what happens is because the stuff I still need is so rare, and time is of the essence at the National. Do I wait and pass up all these great deals and with the hope that I might see the rare item? And then maybe at the end of the show, I didn't see the rare item, and I passed up all those great deals and kicking myself.
Yeah,
this is like
it's a dichotomy.
This is the thing I think about. This is the dilemma, right? And so I think like take advantage of those opportunities with the hope that you can also finance the rarity if you come across it. Yeah. Now, last year, I think it was on day 5, I found the 24K Thomas, but it was priced way out of market, and I didn't even bring enough, even if I didn't spend a single penny to get the card anyway. And I wasn't going to spend that much on that card because it's not worth $1,000 over market. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it was actually he was asking more like $1,300 over market, and I was like, I can't justify paying that, even though I badly want that card.
Right.
So I had to pass. But that was also on day 5. At that point, I was kind of slimming out my budget at that point. So I'm thinking to myself, there's nothing I could have done with that. But what if I had seen that on day 1, the first thing I see? Would I have tried to negotiate that within the confines of my budget and then walked without any money left over? Tell us what you think in the comments section.
So I always bring money for specific items.
Yeah.
Right? You and I have discussed I'm looking for 4 cards in particular, and if I come home with one of those 4 within the price range that I want, I will be happy. Right? But I also have money for dredging in the trenches, and I have money for wax and box breaks and that type of thing. So I think that's really just the best approach you can go. And if you find something that's outside of the norm, then you have to really kind of sit down and say, where am I going to cut, trim to make this happen?
So this is like why having a focus is so important.
Then there's always the credit card.
Right? I unfortunately have enough like debt built up from various things in my life that I like to pay it down.
Right. Well, I'd have to explain it to the wife, but
I still have student loan debt I got to chip away at. So I'm still like working on student loan, getting that knocked out. So it's just taking time. But whatever the case is, that you go with the intent, obviously, to have fun. That's number 1. But number 2, to like have a focus on what you're buying so that you come home and what you've purchased accommodates your collection.
Right.
So you're not just coming home with stuff.
Right.
Like having a focus or foci is so important because you're able to really hone in on what you're buying and not just buying like when I was younger. I used to go to shows like here actually in 95 and 96 when Ivan and Charlie was setting up the like Marriotts and the Hiltons and whatever else.
Too.
Yeah. And so I'd go to, I think it was like Ray's he had a booth.
Right.
And I'd go through and I'd pick out every star card I could. And I must have had
stacks.
Like 800 cards. I was like, here you go. Like, what's the cost? He gave me a price. Like, I can't do it. He's like, well, you can pay me over time. And that was the first instance. I was like, whoa, pay you over time?
Right.
I don't think I want to do that.
Right.
So it's like, well, let me sift in and figure out what I really want. But back then I was buying any star card I came across. Dude, if I did that now, that'd be no end. First box at the National would make me be broke. Yeah. So I have to hone in on, okay, if I want rookie cards or if I want this kind of card, at what years do I buy them and which players, and so I've really had to really hone in on that stuff. So
well, another thing you could do is, and I do this is, I have a notepad and a pen and write down booth numbers, what I was looking at, what the price was, and and leave and hope that nobody buys it. Sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't. It goes,
Right.
Interesting, that I've done that before where I've left stuff, and then 2 years later at another national, I see the same dealer and he has all the same stuff and the price has been reduced significantly.
I've seen that. I've seen that now for 3 nationals.
Yeah.
There have been one guy with the same stuff in the same showcase, and you might understand market trends and try to accommodate market need based on price point.
Right.
Like, okay, it's not moving. Why?
Right.
Either for 2 reasons. There are only 2 reasons why people don't want it, or it's priced too high.
Right.
So there's those 2, or it's priced too high and people don't want it.
Right.
So, and I've seen that, unfortunately. So it's like, if I've showcased with really nice things in it but everything's just way out of price.
Yeah.
It's almost like, that the 90s insert craze in the basketball market. I feel like some people have an imperfect understanding of how that doesn't translate to the baseball market.
Right.
For most baseball cards.
Right.
Yeah, you might get that with Jeter, Griffey, but for the most case, the PMG price points in basketball just don't translate to baseball.
Right.
Skybox Premium Star Rubies don't translate to baseball.
Right.
24Ks don't translate to baseball. So you've got like this interesting, almost misunderstanding. Not across the board, but I see it sometimes.
No, it does happen.
I see the Thomas listed for like $900. Like, do that on its best, hottest, most productive day. It's a $300 card.
Right.
Not $900.
Right.
So it's like, and when I bought mine, it was $250, and I have the serial number 01 of 50. So it's like pretty significant serial number. So I look at that and I have to think like, well, if they're 3 nationals in, it's the same stuff they're offering. It must be the price points.
But a lot of times it's been reduced. Like you
noticed that?
Yeah, I've seen these guys, and you talk to them, and let's just say 2015, and they want $100 for the stack, and then you go back in 2017 and you see the same guys and they have the same stuff, and you pull the same stack and they sell it to you for 12. So it depends. I mean, it's such an interesting game to play. I don't really think there's a right answer or a wrong answer. Just go and have fun. For me, I usually take a break every day to go and take advantage of some of the promotions that are going on and some of the contests and so forth. So interesting trend that I've seen this year, though, is that I'm seeing very little hype. Like, there's not very much stuff being put out as to like what the different companies are doing. Usually it's like for weeks you're getting the emails and you're getting the the updates on social media, and I'm seeing very, very little of it this year. So
really?
It'll be an interesting show.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff's fun.
Yeah.
I don't really engage in the box break thing or the promos. I just like to kind of observe that it's happening in the background, and that it's nice knowing it's happening.
Right.
And if there's a Thomas card that I want or need, it'll surface on eBay then the following weeks.
Well, I've come across some pretty cool stuff doing the promos and doing the contests and things. Notably, I remember a few years ago, Upper Deck had a signature contest, and so I went ahead and entered it, and I won for my category, and I got a Patrick Waugh autograph numbered to 10.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was pretty excited about that.
That's down your alley.
Totally down my alley.
Totally you. So that is just wanted to cover, talk about some of the dialogue around the National this year, because I could talk for hours on this stuff.
We could be here till the National starts.
So I wanted to talk about these things because these are not really concerns, but I've expressed interest in learning more about what I could do while I'm there.
Right.
So I called Dan this week and we chatted, and I was like, one evening late, and I was like, I'm going to call him and see if he can help me figure out how to approach the show this year. And seriously, I can't change who I am.
Right.
I mean, I can if I wanted to, but I like who I am. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I go back and I find myself doing my old ways, back in my old ways, like getting the 87 Topps Bonds cards or whatever else.
I might slap you for you.
So I'm thinking to myself, well, I use the Bonds example because 87 Topps is like mass produced,
right?
And that's like the key card in the set, and it's the only card in the set that I buy that's from 87 Topps that's not the traded.
I buy the McGwires.
You buy the McGwires
if they're cheap.
So I buy 85 Topps McGwires. Those
I buy
that's
them
what
too.
I buy.
Yeah.
And then I buy like the 83 Topps Gwynns, and I buy the 82 anything Ripkins, and 80 Topps Henderson, and 79 Smith, and 78 or Eddie Murray, etc., etc., etc. So maybe I should try to thin out that goal, not do anything past 85 this year.
I wouldn't limit yourself.
I don't know. It's like this is the thing I'm trying to think of. Is it if I come across a situation where I want to have some funds left over at the end just in case I see that rare Thomas card I've been looking for, for a bargain.
Right.
Then I want to be prepared to be able to negotiate without pulling out the credit card.
Right.
So I'm looking at ways to kind of become frugal, be more conservative about the choices that I make in those bins. Because I love the Bonds rookie cards like everybody else, but I also love seeing that really rare Frank Thomas card that I've been looking for a long time, kind of peeking through a showcase, like, how much for, what do you got the price on that rare gold, And so I want to be able to be prepared for that. Obviously, on day 1 and not day 5, because I'll be really prepared for it. But it's like, it's something I got to pay attention to.
The problem, though, is the needle in the haystack. I mean, that's what the National is. I mean, you got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dealers with multiple tables, and God knows how much crap piled onto it. So for me, one of my goals is to be a little more active after the show closes.
Oh yeah, me too.
I want to go see some of these things that for years I have, just kind of blown off, and I would like to go and just experience the after party.
Right.
So
we're gonna have a little after party.
Yeah.
So I like the Chicago venue a lot.
It's my favorite.
I like that the convention hall has these like corridors of rooms that branch out. The VIP people, where we stand in line, that whole area that wraps around. I like that exists. Now, I don't know if they let you kind of hang out in there after the show, or if they boot you from the convention hall entirely.
They allow some hangout, and there's some stuff that usually goes in there. What I think is great about the Rosemont venue is that there are hotels completely surrounding it that are within 5-10 minute walking distance, and so much is going on at those hotels. Right, and different companies promoting different things, and we just never go. And part of me is saying we should be going. There's even a casino within walking distance that we've never gone to.
Yeah, because I only bring my budget to go gamble.
Yeah.
So we should definitely do that.
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, casinos are casinos. There's going to be restaurants. There might be shows. Who knows?
Going to hit a Wayne Newton show?
I mean, was it 2 years ago at the bar at the hotel that we stayed at? Paul Horning was there every night buying drinks.
Really?
So, yeah. We never went down. I found out from somebody else,
But is that stuff actively marketed?
Maybe he wasn't buying drinks, but he was down there having drinks with people.
Right.
And so, not that it's actively marketed, but sometimes I feel like we're so exhausted from the grind that we just kind of go and phase everything else out. And this year, I'm saying, there's got to be a little bit more than just the closing at 5 type of thing. So
that's good stuff. That kind of turns us back in the beginning of the conversation, which is my goal of being more social on the evenings,
right?
Not going back to the hotel room, dropping everything off,
and then walking out.
Going out, doing something. Maybe shoot a video before you leave, but whatever the case is, make that thing, half an hour instead of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours,
right?
And then go and be social with people. Go out to dinner or meet up for whatever. There's something else happening post show conclusion that night. Whatever the case, just be social and enjoy yourself. And Dan and I like to get Ubers to go to the grocery store to get food, so we can save money. Put that money toward cars instead of an expensive.
But at the same time, it's really nice to also go out and have a Giordano's deep dish or something. So it's you got to have to open up a little bit. I'm more on the respect of going for the supermarket for breakfast items and lunch items. That way, I'll leave the evenings open. But if I need to eat a sandwich before I go out,
it's all Lunchables for me. Yeah, Lunchables and Hot Pockets. No, I'm gonna probably just get what I do is get sandwich stuff because that I feel like is when we went in 2017. And we did that. I had more food than I could eat that week, and I spent $35.
Right.
I had to leave food there. I left a pound of turkey meat that I didn't even get to. It just stayed in the fridge. I felt bad too because I wanted to consume the turkey.
I chugged 7 beers before we left because I didn't want to leave them in the hotel room. So
I should have had 2 sandwiches that final night. One sandwich being a full pounder.
Yeah.
But
so I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. Still staying on the subject of the National, but Pat and I will be on the floor pretty much from open to close every day.
Yes.
So if you see us out there,
come say hi. Dan may or may not be with me. We usually branch out. So
you got the black and gray beard, so
Yeah.
We may or may not be together. It just depends. I mean, we do our own thing, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. It is fun.
Yeah.
And to those of you who do follow Radicards.com, thank you for reading, watching, and listening. Been pretty quiet on the podcast arm this year, or the last couple months, because I've been trying to put that time toward a couple other things that are a little bit higher priority. But I plan on producing podcasts again in the future. And there's been so many cool developments in the sport and in the hobby over the last couple of months. So I've missed out on talking about them, but I'll get back on the horse and do that again at some point. And for those of you who comment and subscribe, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Radicards. If you're watching this on YouTube from the blog, click through and subscribe. That'd be great. Love to have you. I was trying to increase that subscriber number.
Yeah. Don't forget your Twitter and Instagram.
Twitter and Instagram also. Radicards is the handle, and on Facebook and Radicards is I have a page and a group, and so you can click through from the blog forum. You can click through and it take you straight to the group, and from the group you can go to the page as well. So definitely join the Radicards group there. Almost 600 members so far, which is nice. And so I want to thank everyone who's active on the page and on the group and says hi and comments on everything. And I can't wait for the week. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I'll be tweeting as well, and mine is at Sports Securities, just in case.
Check out his website, sportsecurities.com.
Yeah.
He does his thing. It's similar to Radicards, but he talks about his journey.
Yeah. I do a little bit less than Pat.
Right. Mine's like more full time. Yeah. It's my company, but he does his as time permits.
Yeah.
He molds young minds for a living. So
scary.
It's great. It's very admirable. So I'm very happy for him.
Cool.
So that concludes this episode. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're flying out tonight or tomorrow or whenever you're doing that, please travel safely and have a great time at the show. And what else do I say? I guess I should say there will be other videos to come after the show. Look for the big one that I'll be delivering after when I come back. So no content this week on the site or on YouTube, but after I return, there will be something available once I get down and dig out the whole structure of the video that covers the entire convention. So thank you for tuning in to Radicards TV on Radicards.com. I'm your host, Patrick Greeno, and until next time, enjoy collecting.
See you guys at the show.
If you like this content, please subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy collecting.